Hello, grade 12. It's our literature class again, and it will be pretty brief today. So, it's Act 3 for us, and we will work with scene 5 now, and later you will work with scene 6 on your own. Okay, so page 101, please. Okay, now. In the very end of the previous scene, Macbeth announces his desire to see the weird sisters again. How do you think? Why? Why does he want to see them again? Please discuss. Okay. Now, of course, Macbeth is not going to see them today, not yet, but we are going to meet them today. So, read, listen, and summarize Act 3 and Scene 5.
Now, Eckert, you look angry.
Have I not reason, beldams as you are, saucy and overbold? How did you dare to trade traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death? And I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part or show the glory of our art. And which is worse, all you have done hath been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. But make amends now. Get you gone, and at the pit of Acheron meet me in the morning. Thither he will come to know his destiny. Your vessels and your spells provide, your charms and everything beside. I am for the air. This night I'll spend unto a dismal and a fatal end. Great business must be wrought ere noon. Upon the corner of the moon there hangs an aperous drop profound. I'll catch it ere it come to ground, and that, distilled by magic sleights, shall raise such artificial sprites as by the strength of their illusion shall draw him on to his conclusion. He shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes above wisdom, grace, and fear. And you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. Hark, I am called. My little spirit, see, sits in a foggy cloud and stays for me.
To fly
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can pause and take your time to write down the summary. Okay, don't forget that right now you don't have the paper, so you're taking your notes in a notebook, your literature notebook. I hope you have it, and then you will just submit the notebooks to me. So pause. Now, you might be wondering why I didn't offer you to watch the stage performance, but I'm afraid I need to disappoint you here. This part was totally cut from the performance that I usually show you, so it was not there at all. Why? There might be different reasons, and I believe one of the reasons might be the one on the screen right now, the authorship. I do believe that the producers of that stage performance wanted to keep as close to Shakespeare as possible, but this piece, this scene, has doubtful authorship. Scene 5 links the previous scene in which Macbeth decides to visit the witches with the opening of Act 4, of which we will talk tomorrow. But there have been many arguments about whether Shakespeare himself wrote this scene. It is generally accepted that another playwright, Thomas Middleton, wrote this scene, as well as some of the witches' songs in Act 4. This scene has a different rhythmic quality from the rest of the play. It also includes an extra witch who vanishes dramatically. The foggy cloud in line 35 may have allowed Hecate's spectacular flying exit. Hecate was, by the way, she was the goddess, one of the goddesses of fate, and she was especially the goddess of witchcraft and wizardry and dark powers in ancient mythology. So, and Shakespeare bring her here, which is quite unusual, by the way. Why would he bring Hecate? And she does not play any role in the rest of the scene. So, all in all, this scene seems to be of different authorship. Now, discuss possible reasons and opportunity for Macbeth's original producers. Original producers means the ones living in the beginning of the 17th century. Okay, so in approximately 1606, 1607. Okay, so why? So discuss possible reasons for Macbeth's original producers to ask a person different from the original playwright to add some pieces to this play. Why would they want another person to add additional scene to this play? Why would you do it? Now, as I said before, the rhythm of this scene is different. Okay, so earlier in the play, the witches' lines had a distinct trochaic rhythm. Okay, and right now I need you to try and remember what is the difference between trochaic rhythm and iambic rhythm. Okay, so you see in exercise 4, in your own words, describe the difference between trochaic and iambic rhythms. Any ideas? Do you remember? Okay, I will try and help you. Look, first fragment on this page represents distinct trochaic rhythm. Fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. Okay, so the stress in every foot, and I hope you still remember what feet are in poetry. Okay, so every foot has first syllable stressed. This is what we call trochaic rhythm. Okay, now in this scene, Hecate's lines have an iambic rhythm when the second syllable is stressed instead of the first one. And I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms. You see? So this is not very typical for Shakespearean or Shakespeare's witches. You remember that sonnets, like most of the sonnets, Shakespeare's sonnets, like 99% of all the lines in sonnets, are written in iambic rhythm, right? Yes, but surprisingly, witches in Macbeth normally speak in trochaic rhythm. They don't speak in iambic rhythm. So why? It's, it was Shakespeare's decision. So mostly, again, most parts of the play of Macbeth are written in iambic rhythm, but not the witches. Okay, so this is why we really believe that this scene here, this witch scene, was written by somebody else. Okay, so now don't forget about trochaic and iambic rhythm patterns. Okay, now this is the last task for us to do with this episode. You will look through Hecate's speech again. By the way, the spelling of her name in my PowerPoint, it's Hecate with E in the end, while as far as I remember in your book it's just written as Hecate. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. It's just different spelling, because even in different editions of Macbeth, you can see this name spelled as Hecate or Hecate, so it's not a big deal. Now, in her speech, identify the sections in which she talks about her reasons for anger with the three witches. Obviously, they did something wrong, so it's your task to find out what. Self-centeredness of Macbeth. Okay, you need to find what she talks or when she talks about meeting the next day with spells, her plans for ruining Macbeth, her, like, what she talks about Macbeth's future, and the part in which her spirit is calling her. You, by the way, you remember these spirits, okay? And these are the animals, right? The animals of these witches and wizards who usually worked as the communicator with the darker powers. But here, actually, again, another argument for Hecate, like for Hecate's not belonging to this play, is that she, as the goddess of evil and evil powers, she is that evil power herself. She is kind of devil's representative herself, and I believe she doesn't even need a spirit, a pet spirit, to communicate with any dark powers, because she is that dark power herself. So these lines about spirit are pretty logical here. Okay, but never mind. You need to find the lines in which she talks about her spirit calling her. Okay, so take your time. Okay, let's try and see together. So the reasons for anger were the three witches, right? So, have I not reason, beldams as you are, saucy and overbold? How did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death, and I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to beat my part or show the glory of our art? So, you see, I'm just giving you example. I'm not going to break down all the speech, but here in lines 2 to 9, Hecate accuses her servants, these three witches, of not inviting her. She blames them on not inviting her to deal with Macbeth, because she wanted to be there when they were delivering this prophecy. Okay, so they did. So they met Macbeth on their own without inviting her, and they robbed her of that pleasure, of the pleasure of saying that prophecy that would later ruin not only his but many other lives, which only shows how dark, how evil she and the other witches are. Okay, so now you will work in pairs, so you can text each other in WhatsApp group, and you will share the lines in which Hecate talks about the rest of these things. Okay, and this is all for us today. The rest is your homework, and homeworks lands you on scene 6 of Act 3. Okay, and here we are. You just pause and write down the task or read whatever is written on the screen. Okay, so this and also this, you will have a small writing part here as well. Okay, as for now, this is all, and it was sweet to talk to you, even though I couldn't hear you, unfortunately. I love hearing your answers. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Bye bye.